if I knew that I could not fail. If I believed that the wind would always fill up my sail. How far would I go? How could I achieve trusting the hero in me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What if we were all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of the sea, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refuse to listen to that voice of fear, would the voice of courage whisper in my ear? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? Oh, what would I do if I were brave? Oh, what would I do today if I were
I just want to make sure everybody gets to see you.
Yes.
Yay!
Not fair.
Just turn around and look at your community out there, sweetie. I just think it's important that she knows how much we love her. Okay, thanks.
We love you, Joy.
Yes, we love you.
All right, so,
She's getting better every day.
Amen.
very good.
So Einstein's theory of relativity, E equals mc squared. The most basic level of what that means is that everything is energy. Absolutely everything. I shared with a friend that I was going to talk a little bit about quantum physics, and he said, oh God, he remembered when Kathy Ann talked about string theory, and it went, people were like, what? And I'm like, oh, I'm not talking string theory here. Basic stuff, just basic stuff. Quantum physics, there's parts of it that my brain goes, yeah, I don't get that. Okay. Ernest Holmes says, and Ernest Holmes is the founder of this philosophy, there is energy in the dynamic consciousness of the divine presence, which we do not create. We convert it into the action of our thought and direct it for a definite and specific purpose through our word. And then quantum physics, which is the study of the building blocks of the universe, tells us that everything is made of energy. Everything. So I want you to think about that. You're sitting on energy. Your body's energy. If you pick up a book, the book is energy. The movement is energy. So everything that we do has a ripple effect, right? Everything we do has a ripple effect. What I didn't know, I've got this great book. It's, I knew I was going to forget it. Learn to Swim in the Quantum Soup. And it's written by a daughter and her dad. She's the metaphysician. He is the physicist. And so she describes quantum physics from the metaphysical reasoning, like what that means. And he talks about it scientifically, like why does it mean that? And part of that is resonance. And this is something I didn't know or I hadn't thought of. But he talks about when large groups of soldiers march, they march, right? Left, right, left, right. And they usually have a drill sergeant or somebody that is keeping them in absolute time until they come to a bridge. When they come to a bridge, they stop marching in time. And the reason is that rhythm across the bridge can change the vibration of the bridge, and it can do damage or bring the bridge down. I never thought of that. The power of sound. And so I was thinking, as yesterday, Paul and I went out to the Olympic Peninsula and did a 9-mile hike. And when you're hiking 9 miles, you have a lot of opportunity to just think as you're enjoying the beauty. There's thoughts racing in and out of your mind. And I was like, oh, I hope I can remember that. That's a good one for Sunday. And I'm not sure I am going to remember it. However, one thought crossed my mind. Our thoughts, we know, are powerful, right? What we think matters. Because what we think can create in our life if we give it energy, if we give it emotion, if we give it power. And some people will say, well, I can think of an elephant. Are you going to tell me, bam, an elephant will appear before me? No, but I bet you would start seeing paintings of elephants, or a truck all of a sudden that had a big elephant on the side of it, or people would start talking about elephants. It just happens. And I just recently experienced that because I had an incident with a Maserati. And how many Maseratis do you see in the world, right? And then I was sharing that with somebody, and she said, well, there's another guy in Burien that owns a Maserati. And I'm like, seriously? 2 people in Burien. So Paul and I, after this experience, I go home, And my neighbor has reconverted their garage, and he pulls up the street in front of our house as we're getting out of our car to back his Maserati into the garage. I swear to goodness gracious, I don't remember ever seeing a Maserati until this whole thing happened, because in my mind, it's important. I want to remember what the car looks like, right? And so Maserati, it's going to start to appear. And so that's how it works. Now think about, remember in the Bible it says something to the effect where two or more are gathered. There am I? Close. Cynthia's shaking her head. But where two or more are gathered. So imagine, if you will, so you have an affirmation. I have an affirmation that that I say with the women that I'm doing this eating plan with, and we remind each other, rebel strong. Now I want you to think about that this organization has thousands of people, men and women, that belong to this eating plan. What if at the same time every day, let's say 10 o'clock Mountain Time, because that's where Christy lives, 10 o'clock Mountain Time, everybody across the country, and I assume around the world, I'm sure she's got people all over the place, said together, so it'd be 9 o'clock here, I am rebel strong. Now imagine what that vibration would do to our thought process. Because when you're doing anything, you're tempted not to do it anymore, right? Anything new. I mean, I have made a commitment that I'll walk 10,000 steps a day. Does it happen every day? No. And when it doesn't happen are on those days that I will say, oh, you know, it's too hot out, it's too whatever, and I just don't do it. And yet my commitment is, and that happens regardless of what we're doing in our life. So just imagine, now let's just take it a little bit differently. What if everybody on the planet said at exactly the same time worldwide, we are one? How would that vibrationally change how we are on the planet? I mean, we could pick a time. 9 o'clock in the morning, no, I'm saying rebel strong at 9 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, whatever time zone you're in. Everybody, and say it out loud, because remember, it's the resonance. It's the tone. Can you think it? Absolutely you can. But it is more important if you speak it and you give voice to it. We are one. I wonder how that might shift how we start to treat each other. How we start to really become a community that cares about each other. And so it was just a thought. If resonance is so important, and we talk here so often about creating affirmations. We don't talk a lot about giving our affirmations voice. And giving them voice is really important, to say them out loud. Even if you choose to say your own affirmations and don't want to do a whole group thing. Saying your affirmations out loud, there is something different about the vibration in your body. There is something different about hearing it, you know, with your ears, your voice saying something positive. And so how would that make the affirmation become more true? And then the interesting part, I think, about us humans, I read recently, I think I was sharing with Kim, probably in the book I'm reading, that we have between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts per day, which is a bigger spread. You know, normally I'd always heard 60, but they said between 12,000 and 60,000 per day. Paul in his brilliance said, how do they know? I'm like, I don't know. I have faith and trust. They have said it, it must be true. The interesting part that I found that was in addition to that is 80% of those thoughts are negative. 90% of those thoughts are the thoughts you had yesterday and the day before and the day before that. And that's why it is important that we do affirmations. That's why it's important that we start to pay attention to what we're thinking, because if everything is energy, everything we're thinking has an effect. And if we're thinking some thought that we might not be aware of over and over and over again, and then we're looking out at the world going, gee, I wonder why my life hasn't changed. What's going on that, that keeps showing up in my life? Have you ever had that happen? Like, you're going along and then, whoo, there's something that you oh, I was so over that, and there it is again. I don't think those things happen by accident. And I think that it's not saying that we didn't heal something at a level when we were 20. We might have healed something. And yet our consciousness is ever rising. And so eventually it could come back around if there's still that thought within us. Could come back around. We're at a higher level of consciousness. Deeper seed, right? Something deeper to be healed. And that is the fun and the challenge of really following this philosophy. Because we really believe we are co-creating our reality all the time with the divine. And remember, again, Anna, I'm going to misquote this and I'm sorry, but brilliance comes when the wave realizes it's water or it's the ocean. The ocean. When the wave realizes it's the ocean. Brilliance comes when you realize, really realize that you're God informed. More than just saying it. It's easy for us to say it. Oh yeah, I'm God informed. And I tell you every Sunday, you're God informed. Somewhere I work that in there, don't I? I don't think I've missed a Sunday. You're God informed. And yet to live it is different than to say it. To live it is to really recognize, what would God do? Is God going to look at one of its creations and go, oh, okay, that was a mistake? I mean, it doesn't look at spiders and say it was a mistake, right? Or good grief, mice or rats. Everything has a purpose. If I were an ecologist, I could tell you what everything's purpose is, and I'm not, so I can't. Everything has a purpose. Everything is on this planet for a reason. Even those things that the little sugar ants, really, what's the purpose except maybe to annoy humans?
There you go.
That could be it.
That could be it. Thank you, Cal. That could be it. You want to grow consciously here. How do you deal with sugar ants? So all of it, to really live it, is to stop thinking. We talk about taking responsibility for our life. 100% responsibility for our life. The other side of that is we are always in relationship with everybody. And so yes, I take 100% responsibility for my life. What that means is if I have an upset with somebody, I don't look to blame them for the upset. I look to me to find out, what is it in me that I need to heal? Because if there wasn't something in me that needed to be healed, two things would have happened. Number one, they never would have said anything to me because I wouldn't be the person that they wanted to say that to. Or number two, and I forget what number two was. Maybe it was just number one. It will come to me. However, pardon?
It wouldn't have affected you that
It wouldn't affect, thank you, Christina. That's good. That wasn't quite the thought, but that'll work. Yeah, it wouldn't affect me. If it doesn't bother me, and somebody says something to me, I can move on. It's like water off a duck's back, as they say. And so, how do we show up when we're living in this huge relationship, when we are diving into quantum soup? We can't help it because it's our life. This is our reality. And the amazing thing is that you can find quotes in the Bible, you can find quotes from Pluto or Socrates, any great thinker, and they're telling you the same things. Did I say something funny, Sylvia?
You said Pluto, I think you meant Plato.
Oh, thank you. I'm on a roll today. But Pluto might have something too. It's mad because it's not a planet anymore. Thank you for laughing and correcting that right there before Bernie got slam-basted online with comments. Did she know she just called out a planet? So anyway, my point is, how do we be in relationship with everybody? And the only way to really do that is to come from that place of knowing deep within you that you're God. That you are God-informed. That you're not just a wave to the ocean. You are part of the ocean. You are not just a ripple effect in the fabric of this existence. You matter as much as everybody else on this planet. Now, saying that, we're all like, yeah, that works for me. So is everybody else. I want you to think about somebody that you might not be fond of. You got them? Yep. Everybody grab somebody in your mind. Somebody you might not be fond of. And I want you in your mind's eye to look at them and say, you too. You are God-informed. You too. You are God-informed. That's a huge step from, disliking somebody. We talk about God, and it's that one constant, never-changing vibration of love. And we always I don't know if it's foundations, it's also in practitioner studies, and we start to call up God qualities. And everybody always wants to say forgive. A God quality is forgiving. And the truth is, no, it's not. God doesn't forgive because God doesn't have to. God is only love. There is nothing to forgive in that vibration of love. What if each one of us lived from that place? Where we found it in our hearts, and I said this last week, to be kind. It really is learning to default to kindness. How can you, when you go to, I think it is a habit, it's probably a human habit. We tend to go to, when we get with people and we want to talk about someone, we're usually not saying kind things, right? Oh, did you see what she had on? Oh, did you hear she did this or he did that or whatever? What if you made a promise to yourself that you would never talk about anybody again, ever, unless you had nice things to say? And only nice things. Even if you know in your mind's eye, wow, she shouldn't have worn those boots last Sunday. They didn't look good with those pants. Right? It's okay. That's what I said when I saw the picture. But I'm serious. Instead of calling people out on how they are opposite from you, what if you just came from that place of love? What if you really decided, I'm not going to say anything negative about anybody. I'll practice with you. But if we're truly God-informed, that's the place we want to be. That's the life we want to live. And if it were an easy habit, the world would look a lot different than it does right now. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I will tell you that, the first time I saw change your thinking, change your life. And I thought, that's easy. That's a quaint little statement, right? Have you tried to do that? It's not for the light of heart. Because when you start to change your thinking, you watch your life start to change, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe that's too much, right? We have a lot of fear and a lot of comfort built into our life exactly as it is. And so I invite you all, and when I say this, I'm talking to myself first. I invite each and every one of us to find that place within us where we can stop and think, is this kind? And if it's not kind, is it necessary? And if it's not necessary, why am I saying it? It's 3 questions you have, and I didn't come up with those questions. I forget, probably Brene Brown came up with them. Is it kind? Is it necessary? And if it's not, no, I'm not saying it. Now, that might make for a lot of pauses of silence in your life, because we are so used to John, aren't we? However, here's the deal. Silence is a good thing, right? We're either going to increase the vibration of the world by saying good things about everybody, or we're going to be in silence listening to the world talk to us. You can't lose. It's a win-win. It is absolutely a win-win. So I invite you all just to remember that metaphysically and scientifically it is proven that everything is energy. Everything is energy. So when you do this, or you do that, whatever you do, it has a ripple effect. It's changing energy that you can't see or know how it's changing it. I hope I didn't knock those young men off the roof with my little waving of the energy. But it's important for us to remember that we're here and we have an effect on people around us by the energy that we put out, by the words that we say, by the actions that we take. And so just think, how can I change that? I can make Cynthia laugh, I know that. And she was laughing right out loud, I'm just saying. And that's important. How many of you spend, Anna, you don't get to answer because you're going to answer 100% of the time. How many of you spend time in deep belly laughs? Deep belly laughs. Yeah, it's kind of like maybe. I invite you to spend a little time with Anna, because when she laughs, you can't help but laugh with her. You can't. She has that joy. She has a laugh that is joyful, that brings joy to everybody around her. And so just start to think about, as I started when I was introducing Anna, don't think you have to do something that the world needs. Do something that brings you joy. And the world will respond. So I'm going to close before prayer. I want to do one quote. And this is by Albert Einstein, and I know you have heard it before, and I invite you to take it in your heart today. There are 2 ways to live your life. One is to believe everything is a miracle. And the other to believe nothing is a miracle, because it's either one or the other, right? And like I say at the end of every one of my texts, it's your life and your choice. Wouldn't it, however, be more fun to live your life as if everything, even the stuff that you're like, oh, I wish that hadn't happened to me, everything in your life is a miracle. Everything you could go back and look at, oh, if this hadn't happened, then this wouldn't have happened. I invite you to sit down and do that someday and realize yes, Bernie and Courtney, because Paul and I did that yesterday. Think about how the 2 of you met. Or Anna and Cal, how the 2 of you met. How did you meet people? And you can take it back and start to go, well, this had to happen. And then this had to happen. And if any of those things didn't happen, you wouldn't be sitting here right now, either online or in person. And so start to look at your life as a miracle, because it really is. Let's pray. So I invite us to stand in that energy. In fact, stand up for a minute. And if you're at home, stand up for a minute. Because it's going to be warm today. So just do something to move your energy around, stretch your body, wake yourself up. Feel the difference when you just do a circle. Yeah, I don't know how those men that do that, the dance where they twirl around so often, because I get dizzy after one. However, you can feel the difference in the room, can you not?
Yep.
Just by getting up and moving. Now, if you move and add a smile, or you say something kind to someone, you can sit down now if you want to, or you can stand during the prayer. But I thought that made my heart feel good. And so it is in that goodness, that overflowing of love, that I know that ever-present thing itself, that which I choose to call God, which is known by so many different names, and in some places no name at all. That it is present right here and right now, whether we call it energy, whether we call it God, no matter what we call it, it is here, because it is us. And it's also around us. It is in the air that we breathe. It is in the thoughts that we think. It is in the beat of our heart. It is ever present. And so I know right here and right now that magnificence, that one that lives in and through and as me, as love, exists in and through and as all of you, as that same thing, as love. Every one of us has that spark. Every one of us has that delight. Every one of us can open up and say, yes, use me. And so that is what I know today. That each one of us today reminds ourselves as we look out at the world around us. The power and the presence of the one is there in everything we see. God looking out at God. God hearing God express. And so we allow ourselves to shift our energy and to be present to our innermost thoughts, to allow ourselves to know that that vibration, our heartbeat that is beating constantly, is a resonance of its own. And it is sending out a vibration always. Let it be a vibration of love. Let it be a vibration of inclusivity. Let it be a vibration of oneness. I invite us all tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to say out loud, we are one. And to know there's other people doing that. And to watch, to see, to feel the vibration in your heart open up. To feel that thing itself that lives within you. That only wants your highest and best, and yet in its brilliance does not interfere. It just says yes. And so I say we are one, and it says yes. So I give great thanks for that knowing, for that connection, for that feeling grounded to Mother Earth, to Father Sky, to all around me. To knowing I am one with it as I am one with all of you. I release these words knowing it is spoken, it is done. God has said yes. And in that yes we release, we let go, and together we say, and so it is. Namaste, thank you very much. Please welcome back to the stage, Christine S. Young.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, its wind is blowing my mind. See the kids in the street without enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending